be making chocolate babka today, and it's a sweet yeasted dough rolled with lots of layers of really rich chocolate and hazelnuts. When I grew up, this was our Friday treat. This needs to be a chilled dough, so I'm gonna make it and then put it in the fridge. It needs at least 6 hours to set before you continue. I'm gonna start with flour, sugar, not too much, and a pinch of salt. So I'm just gonna toss the flour with the sugar and the salt a bit, just so it doesn't touch the yeast directly. And I'm gonna use fresh yeast. If you're gonna use the dry yeast, I would dissolve it in the milk, but the fresh yeast can just go directly into the mix. I'm gonna add a whole egg. And then my milk, and it's just warm, not hot. So once it all comes together to a ball that completely comes away from the sides, nice and clean, I start adding the butter. All the butter's incorporated and it's really nice and soft. So time to scoop it out into a bowl for later. Pan on the stove and get the butter in. Once the butter is fully melted, I'm going to turn the heat off and add all my chocolate. After all my chocolate's melted, I'm going to add all the sugar and mix it in really well. Once all the sugar is dissolved, the cocoa powder and cinnamon. I'm just going to set it aside to settle, but don't put it in the fridge because it will set rock hard and then you won't be able to work with it. So my dough's been in the fridge for 6 hours now and it's ready to go, but you can leave it overnight. I'm gonna take the dough onto my surface. So I press it down into a kind of rough square or rectangle. And then I'm just gonna give it the lightest of dusts of flour and then roll it into a nice large rectangle. Then all the chocolate goes on top and spread it all the way to the edges. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with some chopped and roasted hazelnuts. And then I'm going to roll it into a really tight sausage. So lifting over a bit and over, and then it'll be easier to cut. I use a little nifty trick of a cutter, but a knife works just as well. All the way down the middle. And then we twist. One over, and over from the middle to the side, and the same on the other direction. So we get a nice little swirl, and like a baby, just take it and tuck it into the tin. So I'm just going to leave it here until all the parts of the dough really puff up. An hour, 2 hours to prove before we can bake it. The cake's been in for about 25 minutes. While it's still hot, just pour your syrup on top. And this is just a plain sugar syrup, a 1-on-1. I let it sit there for a bit, probably about half an hour, ideally 2 hours, but it will be even better the next day.